My beloved brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in every soul's journey where the heart whispers, how much longer? A moment when the path ahead looks blocked, the prayer seems unanswered, and the soul begins to wonder if the season of relief will ever arrive. But I want to remind you today, the door you've been waiting for is closer than you think. Allah is already moving things for you in ways you cannot yet see. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that He tests us with fear, loss and challenges, but He immediately follows it with a promise. Give glad tidings to the patient. Every hardship you are experiencing right now is not a sign that Allah has forgotten you. It is a sign that He is preparing you. Preparation often feels like pressure, growth often feels like difficulty, and breakthroughs often look like breakdowns before they happen. Think of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. His freedom did not come when he wanted it. It came at the exact moment Allah decreed it. Imagine if he were freed earlier. Would he have become the minister? Would he have saved a nation? Your delay is carrying greatness inside it. Allah is aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing and the right version of you. Sometimes the signs come quietly, a sudden sense of peace, a conversation you didn't expect, a door that closes to redirect you, an opportunity that appears after a long period of stillness. Allah says, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Before Allah opens a door, He strengthens your heart. Before He gives you what you asked for, He shapes you into the person who can carry it. If you knew how close you were to relief, you would not stop praying. If you knew what Allah was arranging behind the scenes, you would fall into sujood out of gratitude right now. This is the time to purify your intention, strengthen your dua, remove the sins that block blessings, keep your tongue wet with remembrance, keep your heart soft, for Allah fills the soft heart first. You do not prepare for something unless it is coming. Your preparation is itself a sign that your moment is near. When Allah finally opens that door, and He will, do not hesitate. Do not question whether you're worthy. Allah chose you. Do not fear what lies ahead. The one who opens the door walks you through it. Remember, every blessing has its test. Every gift has a responsibility. Every miracle requires gratitude. So when your door opens, walk through it with tawakkul, with gratitude, and with the certainty that if Allah brings you to a moment, He will never abandon you in it. Closing reminder, my beloved listener, you have cried, you have prayed, you have waited, and Allah has heard every whisper of your heart. Do not lose hope. Do not give up. The door you've been waiting for is not just going to open. It is going to open in a way that makes you say, Subhanallah, only Allah could have done this. And when it does, remember this moment, the moment you chose patience over panic and trust over fear. Recognizing the moments Allah tests your patience is one of the most transformative realizations a believer can experience. Every human being goes through seasons where nothing makes sense, where the heart feels heavy, where the path seems unclear, and where the soul quietly wonders why life has become so difficult. These moments are not random. They are divine lessons written exclusively for you. They are signs that Allah is drawing you closer, refining your character, strengthening your heart, and preparing you for something far greater than what you currently see. The test you are facing is not a punishment. It is a purification, a shaping, and a reminder that Allah wants you to rise to a new level of faith. Often the tests begin subtly. You may feel an unusual restlessness in your chest, not a physical discomfort, but a spiritual discomfort, where something inside you says, you were made for more. You may begin to notice that things you once depended on no longer satisfy you. People you once relied on become distant. Paths you believed were guaranteed suddenly close. These are not signs of abandonment. They are signs that Allah is shifting you, repositioning you, and preparing you to rely on Him more deeply. When Allah wants to elevate you, He removes your dependence on anything other than Him. That removal often feels like loss, but in reality it is liberation. Then come the heavier tests, the ones that shake your soul and make you fall into sujood with tears. You may lose opportunities you prayed for. You may face setbacks that feel unfair. You may see doors shut in every direction. You may feel like the more you try, the more complicated everything becomes. This is the stage where many believers misunderstand their situation. They assume Allah is distant, silent, or displeased. But Allah is closer to you during these trials than He is during your ease. He says in the Quran, we are closer to them than their jugular vein. He hears the unspoken prayers. He sees the invisible struggles. He knows the tears that fall quietly onto your pillow when no one else is aware of what you're carrying. When Allah tests your patience, He is actually teaching you the language of surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means giving up your illusion of control. It is one of the most beautiful spiritual transitions a person can experience, when they shift from relying on their own strength to relying entirely on Allah's wisdom. This is what your test is calling you toward: a deeper kind of faith, a quieter confidence, a purer heart that trusts Allah even when the world feels uncertain. Within these moments of difficulty, Allah pushes you to discover strengths you never knew you had. He puts you through situations that force you to grow, to think, to mature, and to evolve. Just as gold is purified through fire, and diamonds are formed under pressure, you too are being purified and strengthened. The pain you feel is the pressure of transformation. Every tear you shed is watering the seeds of the future Allah is preparing for you. Nothing is wasted, nothing is in vain. Every difficulty you endure is part of a divine calculation that only Allah fully understands. Sometimes the test comes in the form of waiting. Waiting is one of the hardest tests, because it exposes what truly lives inside your heart. Waiting reveals whether you trust Allah or not. It reveals whether your patience is genuine or just theoretical. It reveals whether your faith is tied to outcomes or to the one who controls outcomes. During the wait, Allah watches your heart. Do you rush? Do you panic? Do you lose hope? Or do you sit in quiet certainty, believing that Allah will give you what is best at the right moment? Recognizing these moments requires spiritual sensitivity. You must look beyond the surface. If you only see the difficulty, you will miss the wisdom. If you only focus on the closed door, you will miss the door that Allah is preparing to open. Take a step back. Look at your situation with the lens of faith. Ask yourself, what is Allah trying to teach me through this? What is He protecting me from? What is He preparing me for? When you view your challenges through that lens, everything changes. The pain becomes purpose, the delay becomes mercy, the struggle becomes preparation, and the test becomes an invitation to rise. During these tests, Allah also reveals the true state of your heart. Sometimes He exposes your attachments, those things you cling to more tightly than you cling to Him. He exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. He exposes your wounds so you can heal them. He exposes your reliance on the world so you can redirect your reliance to Him. This exposure may feel uncomfortable, but it is divine surgery for the soul. Allah does not expose what He does not intend to heal. Ultimately, recognizing the moments Allah tests your patience is about becoming aware of His presence in your life. It is about realizing that nothing happens randomly. Every hardship is connected to a future blessing. Every struggle is connected to a future opening. The test you're facing today is shaping you for the door that is about to open tomorrow. Understanding that every delay is a divine arrangement requires a shift in how you perceive time, struggle, and the unfolding of your life. Most people view delays as obstacles, inconveniences, or signs that their prayers are being ignored. But in the spiritual reality, a delay is one of the most profound forms of Allah's mercy. A delay is not the absence of His response, it is the precision of His timing. Allah is never late, and He is never early. His decree arrives at the perfect moment, in the perfect form, with the perfect wisdom behind it. But to appreciate this, you must learn to see your life the way Allah wants you to, not just the way you emotionally react to it. When you ask Allah for something, whether it is a job, marriage, healing, stability, a new opportunity, or a change in your circumstances, you often imagine it happening immediately. The human heart naturally wants relief now, success now, clarity now. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes places you in a waiting period. This waiting is not empty. It is a spiritual classroom, where He equips you with what you will need once the blessing arrives. If the blessing came too early, it might harm you. If it came too easily, you might take it for granted. If it came without preparation, you might not be able to hold on to it. Think of the story of Musa. When he fled from Egypt, he did not go directly to prophethood or victory. He spent years in Midian, years of solitude, reflection, hardship, and personal growth. That delay was not a detour, it was divine preparation. Without that period, he would not have been ready for the monumental task ahead. The same pattern appears across the lives of every prophet. Delays precede breakthroughs. Silence precedes revelation. Hardship precedes elevation. This is the divine pattern, the spiritual rhythm that Allah uses to transform His chosen servants, and you are no exception to this pattern. You may feel right now that your life is stuck, that your du'as seem unanswered, that things are moving too slowly, but you cannot see what Allah is protecting you from. You cannot see the dangers He is removing from your path. You cannot see the unseen harm that would have come if He gave you what you wanted at the moment you wanted it. Sometimes the person you thought was meant for you would have broken your heart. Sometimes the job you desperately prayed for would have drained your soul. Sometimes the opportunity you wanted would have pulled you away from Allah. So Allah closes doors, not to limit you, but to redirect you to what is better. The divine delay is sometimes also about the world around you. Allah may be arranging people you haven't met yet, aligning circumstances that haven't formed yet, and preparing blessings that aren't ready for you yet. When you are ready, and your blessing is ready, the two meet at the exact moment decreed. But if either one is not ready, the meeting is delayed as a mercy and a protection. Delays also force introspection. They push you to turn inward, to examine your intentions, to strengthen your reliance on Allah, and to purify your heart. In moments of waiting, you begin to recognize flaws within yourself that you might not have noticed during ease. You discover patience you didn't know you had. You learn humility. You learn surrender. You learn to rely on Allah instead of timelines, deadlines, or expectations. The delay becomes a training ground for your soul. Another profound wisdom behind delays is that they teach you to appreciate the blessing once it finally arrives. Something that comes instantly often carries little emotional weight, but something that comes after years of dua, tears, effort, and reliance becomes a blessing that transforms you. It becomes a sujood-worthy moment. It becomes a sign of Allah's nearness. You feel its sweetness because you tasted the bitterness of waiting. You appreciate its beauty because you endured moments of uncertainty and silence. Delays also strengthen the bond between you and Allah. If you received everything the moment you asked for it, would you truly feel a deep connection to Him? Would you learn to trust Him? Would you learn to rely on Him? Would you feel the joy of turning to Him in need? The waiting period is where your relationship with Him deepens. You go from saying I believe to living I trust. You go from asking with words to asking with your heart. You go from hoping for an outcome to surrendering to His wisdom. Sometimes the delay is meant to separate you from what is not written for you. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and say, had Allah given me what I wanted, I would have never reached where I am today. The delay that once felt painful will one day feel like the greatest protection you ever received. Allah never withholds without intending to give something greater. He never delays without intending to deliver at the perfect moment. He never redirects without intending to replace it with something better. Your role during the delay is not to lose hope, not to question His plan, and not to compare your journey to anyone else's. Your role is to trust that Allah is arranging your life with a precision you cannot comprehend. What you're calling a delay may actually be the very thing saving you, shaping you, preparing you, and blessing you. It may be the invisible bridge between where you are and where Allah wants to take you. Allah often sends signs before relief arrives, but recognizing these signs requires a heart that listens, a soul that observes, and an inner awareness that understands the subtle language of divine communication. These signs are not always loud or dramatic. They are often quiet, gentle, and disguised within the ordinary moments of life. Yet for the believer whose eyes are open, they are powerful indicators that Allah is shifting things, rearranging destinies, and preparing the soul for the opening that is on its way. One of the first signs is an internal change. Something deep within your heart begins to lighten even before anything in your external world improves. You might wake up one morning with an unexplainable sense of calm, despite the fact that your circumstances haven't changed. You may find a new clarity settling into your thoughts, a softness in your chest, or a renewed hope that you can't justify logically. This inner peace is not random. It is a divine reassurance. It is Allah saying, I am with you. Relief is coming. Sometimes Allah comforts your heart first, and then He changes your circumstances. Another sign Allah sends is the closing of doors that were never meant for you. These closed doors may initially feel like disappointments, rejections, or setbacks, but they are in fact divine redirections. You might apply for something and be rejected repeatedly. You might pursue a relationship that suddenly ends. You might plan a path that collapses in front of you. With human eyes, these moments seem painful, but with spiritual eyes, they reveal Allah's protection. When Allah blocks something, He is not limiting you. He is guiding you to something better. Closed doors are signs of future openings. Sometimes the signs come in the form of unexpected shifts, random opportunities, chance encounters, or sudden moments that appear out of nowhere. A person you never thought would help you may extend support. A resource you weren't expecting suddenly shows up. An idea or solution may enter your mind at the exact moment you need it. These moments remind you that Allah controls the entire universe, and He can rearrange it instantly if He wills. When things begin to coincidentally fall into place, it is never a coincidence. It is a sign that Allah is preparing the path ahead of you. Another sign that relief is near is when you find yourself drawn more deeply to worship. You might begin praying with more sincerity. Your heart may feel a stronger attachment to the Quran. Your dua becomes more consistent, more emotional, more urgent, more present. Instead of being distracted, you feel pulled toward Allah with a new intensity. This is not simply your effort, it is Allah bringing you closer before He blesses you. He softens your heart because a softened heart receives blessings differently. He awakens your soul because a spiritually awakened soul can recognize His gifts and carry them with gratitude. Allah also sends signs through emotional release. You may experience a moment where you cry unexpectedly, not out of despair, but out of relief or surrender. It is the moment your heart finally lets go of what it was clinging to. It is the moment you stop trying to force what isn't written for you. It is the moment you whisper, Ya Allah, I trust you. When your soul reaches that point of surrender, it is often just before your breakthrough. Emotional release is a sign that Allah is clearing your heart to make space for what He is about to give. Sometimes the signs appear in your environment, small shifts that others may not notice, but you do. You may find that people who once discouraged you no longer affect you. You may notice toxic influences leaving your life. You may see your circle becoming smaller but purer. Allah removes what is harmful before He gives what is beneficial. The purification of your environment is a sign that blessings are approaching. Another clear sign is when difficulties reach their peak. There is a spiritual principle woven into the universe. Relief often comes at the moment when hardship is most intense. This is not because Allah wants to break you, but because He wants to show you that breakthroughs are born from the edge of despair. When your situation becomes so tight that you see no escape, that is often the moment Allah is about to open a door you didn't even consider. Hardship intensifies before relief, so that when the opening comes, you recognize that it came from Allah alone. Signs also appear through intuition, a sudden certainty that something good is coming, even if you can't explain why. The believer's heart has a connection with its Creator that allows it to sense shifts in destiny. Sometimes you simply feel that the long chapter of waiting and struggling is coming to an end. This intuition is not delusion, it is a gift from Allah to prepare your heart. Allah may also send signs through repeated reminders. You might keep hearing the same verse, the same message, the same advice, the same story from different sources. Someone may say something that hits your heart. You may come across a message that feels like it was written specifically for you. This repetition is a divine nudge. Allah uses reminders to guide you toward what is coming. And sometimes the sign is silence. A silence so deep that it pushes you to your knees. A silence that makes you reevaluate your attachments. A silence that forces you to recenter your trust. That silence is not abandonment. It is spiritual preparation. It is Allah clearing away the noise so you can hear what He is about to reveal. These signs come in different forms, but they all lead to the same truth. Allah never sends relief suddenly without first preparing your heart, your mind, your environment, and your destiny. Every sign is a whisper from the unseen, telling you that something is shifting, something is aligning, something is being written in your favor. Preparing your heart for the opening of a door that Allah is about to place in your life is an essential and transformative process. It is not merely about waiting passively or hoping for change. It is about actively aligning yourself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, so that when the blessing arrives, you can receive it fully and with gratitude. Preparation begins with recognizing that blessings are not just external, they are deeply connected to the state of your heart. You cannot carry a blessing effectively if your heart is cluttered with doubt, impatience, resentment, or attachment to what is not meant for you. Allah prepares you for your door by preparing your heart first. The first step in preparation is purification of intention. Everything you do should be done for the sake of Allah, and this includes your prayers, your actions, and even your longing for the door to open. When your intentions are pure, your actions become a form of worship, and your heart begins to synchronize with the divine rhythm of readiness. This means that your dua should not only be about asking, but about sincerely turning to Allah in reliance and love. It is about aligning your desires with what Allah knows is best for you. Sometimes the door that you long for is not yet open, because your heart is not yet ready to receive what is truly beneficial. Purifying your intentions ensures that your heart can recognize the blessing and accept it in a way that increases faith, gratitude, and righteousness. Strengthening your prayers is another crucial step in preparation. Dua is not just asking, it is a dialogue with the Most Merciful. When you pray consistently and with focus, your connection to Allah deepens. Prayer strengthens trust and softens the heart. When your prayers become a lifeline, you begin to approach the opening door with the proper awareness that Allah is the ultimate source of all good. Strengthening prayer also means praying with patience, repetition, and sincerity. It means not becoming frustrated when your request is not immediately answered, but trusting that Allah hears and responds in the way that is best for you. It is through this persistent spiritual effort that your heart is made ready. Another essential part of preparation is removing obstacles that block blessings. These obstacles may be sins, grudges, or attachments that weigh down the soul. Allah reminds us in the Quran that purity and forgiveness open doors to mercy and guidance. The heart that is filled with resentment or jealousy cannot fully receive a blessing, because the soul is distracted by what is not aligned with divine wisdom. Letting go of grudges, forgiving those who have wronged you, and seeking forgiveness for your own mistakes clears the space for Allah to pour in what He has destined. This is a critical part of preparation, cleaning the heart so that it becomes a vessel ready to hold divine favor. Keeping your tongue and heart engaged in remembrance of Allah is another form of preparation. Dhikr, reflection on Allah's names, and reading of the Quran nurture awareness of the divine presence. When your heart is constantly remembering Allah, you begin to see the world differently. You recognize signs, you discern wisdom, and you remain patient through delays. The constant engagement in remembrance also builds resilience, enabling you to withstand trials without losing hope. A heart saturated with dhikr is a heart ready for divine openings, because it has been trained to trust and recognize Allah's hand in every moment. Another aspect of preparation is cultivating patience and humility. The door may not open on your timeline, but when it does, patience ensures that you are not overwhelmed or ungrateful. Humility ensures that you do not take the blessing for granted or assume it is your achievement alone. Preparing your heart in this way allows you to walk through the door with reverence, understanding that every good thing comes from Allah. Patience and humility are not passive virtues. They are active tools for shaping the soul to receive what is destined without resistance or arrogance. Preparation also includes reflection and gratitude for what is already present in your life. Gratitude transforms perspective. When your heart acknowledges the blessings already granted, it becomes fertile soil for more. Gratitude shifts the focus from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust, from anxiety to surrender. A heart that is grateful is prepared to recognize the door when it opens, and to step through it with joy rather than entitlement. Preparation is not about focusing solely on what you lack, but about aligning your spirit to see the fullness of Allah's mercy in both what you have and what is coming. Preparing your heart further involves readiness to act. When the door opens, action is required. You cannot remain passive and expect the blessing to fully manifest. Preparing for action means being responsible, alert, and willing to step into the opportunity. Allah prepares your heart to not only recognize the door but to take the steps necessary to benefit from it. Spiritual readiness without practical readiness is incomplete. Both must work together. Your heart must be ready to trust, and your hands and mind must be ready to act. Finally, preparation involves surrender. True readiness comes from letting go of your need to control the outcome. Surrender is not resignation, it is trust. It is the acknowledgement that Allah knows better than you, sees what you cannot, and arranges what is perfect for you. As you prepare, your heart must become flexible, soft, and receptive, willing to accept blessings in forms that may differ from your imagination, but are far better than what you could have planned. Walking through the door that Allah opened requires more than simply noticing the opportunity. It requires complete trust, courage, and the readiness to embrace what has been divinely prepared for you. Many people pray, wait, and even prepare themselves spiritually, but when the moment of breakthrough comes, fear, hesitation, or doubt can hold them back. Allah's blessings often arrive in forms that challenge us, that stretch us, and that demand our full reliance on Him. To walk through the door with confidence, A believer must understand that Allah does not abandon those who trust Him, and that the path He lays before you, even if uncertain, is guided and protected. The first quality required is absolute trust in Allah, or tawakkul. Trust is more than a passive belief. It is an active reliance on Allah, in both heart and action. It means stepping forward, even when the outcome is unclear, knowing that Allah's plan is perfect, and that what He has written for you cannot be taken away by fear, hesitation or delay. Tawakkul is what allows you to move beyond doubt. It is what allows you to take a risk for the sake of what is meant for you. Trust means understanding that the blessing is already on its way, and that your steps through the door are guided by the one who knows all things. Without trust, even the greatest opportunity can slip by, unnoticed or unclaimed, because fear of the unknown can paralyze the soul. Courage is another essential component. Walking through the door often requires leaving comfort zones and stepping into unfamiliar territory. Allah may have prepared something extraordinary, but it may not resemble what you imagined. It may be bigger, more challenging, or more rewarding than you expected. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite fear. It is a recognition that Allah's guidance and protection accompany every step. Courage allows you to embrace change and uncertainty without questioning the wisdom of Allah. Every prophet, every pious servant, and every believer who received a divine opening had to exercise courage, often in moments that demanded complete reliance on Allah, rather than personal confidence. Gratitude is also a critical part of walking through the door. A believer must acknowledge that the opportunity, the relief or the blessing comes entirely from Allah. Gratitude transforms reception into worship. It ensures that the heart does not become arrogant or entitled. Gratitude also enhances your awareness of Allah's mercy, allowing you to appreciate the blessing fully, rather than taking it for granted. When you step through a door with a grateful heart, the blessing multiplies, not just in material or external form, but in spiritual richness, joy and barakah that continues to grow throughout your life. Surrender is another key element. Walking through the door does not mean controlling every detail of what comes next. Allah often tests believers at the moment of blessing to ensure that they do not claim ownership over what is divinely given. Surrender means accepting that even within the opportunity, there may be challenges, adjustments, or unknown elements. It is the willingness to move forward without needing to understand every step, trusting that Allah's wisdom is beyond your comprehension. Surrender allows you to navigate the opening with peace instead of anxiety, with trust instead of doubt, and with patience instead of urgency. It creates a heart that is receptive to the full potential of the blessing, rather than resistant to parts that are unexpected. Another aspect is readiness to embrace responsibility. Every blessing carries with it a test, a duty or an obligation. Walking through the door means accepting that Allah has entrusted you with something valuable, whether it is knowledge, leadership, provision, or opportunity. Your response determines whether the blessing grows or diminishes. Being spiritually, emotionally, and mentally ready ensures that you do not stumble under the weight of the responsibility. A believer must understand that blessings are not just rewards, they are trusts that must be managed with care, humility, and integrity. The readiness to accept responsibility is part of the preparation that allows the door to become a lasting source of benefit, rather than a fleeting moment. Faith also requires patience, even after stepping through the door. Often, the opening is just the beginning. There may be challenges, adjustments, and learning curves that follow. A believer who walks through the door with steady faith recognizes that the initial opening is part of a greater journey. Patience ensures that the blessing is nurtured and fully realized. It protects the heart from despair when challenges arise, and reminds the soul that every step is still guided by Allah. Faith combined with patience creates a resilience that allows the believer to thrive, not just survive, in the new chapter that Allah has provided. Recognizing the signs that accompany the opening is another key to walking through successfully. Allah often places confirmations along the way, people, events, or circumstances that reinforce the direction you are moving. A believer attentive to these signs moves confidently, reassured that Allah is orchestrating every detail. Awareness of these signs strengthens faith, enhances focus, and diminishes fear, making the passage through the door smoother and more spiritually enriching. It is a reminder that the moment is not random, but perfectly timed and divinely guided. Finally, the heart must be filled with hope and optimism. Walking through the door with a sense of hope allows the believer to embrace the opportunity fully, to act boldly, and to respond creatively to the circumstances. Hope is a divine gift that fuels courage, patience, and perseverance. It is the lens through which every challenge becomes manageable, every setback becomes a lesson, and every success becomes a blessing worthy of gratitude. A hopeful heart sees the door not just as an endpoint, but as a gateway to further growth, spiritual elevation, and divine closeness.